The views on a Breath of Fresh Air podcast reflects the parties involved, and we encourage you all to use it as a conversational tool that will lead to personal studies of your own.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Welcome to a Breath of Fresh Air podcast. Here with your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz Gay. As a young person, Christianity can be so foggy, like smoke in the mirrors and so unclear. But we're here to bring you a breath of fresh air.
Surely in a night, Ar of Moab is devastated and ruined. Surely in a night, Kir of Moab is devastated and ruined. They have gone up to the temple and to Dibon, even to the high places to weep. Moab wails over Nebo and Medeba. Everyone's head is bald, and every beard is cut off. In their streets, they have girded themselves with sackcloth. On their housetops and in their squares, everyone is wailing, dissolved in tears. Heshbon and Eliah also cry out. Their voice is heard all the way to Jahaz. Therefore, the armed men of Moab cry aloud. His soul trembles within him. My heart cries out for Moab. His fugitives are as far as Zoar and Eglath Shalishia, for they go up the ascent of Luith, weeping. Surely on the road to Horonaim they rise a cry of distress over their ruin. For the waters of Nimrim are desolate. Surely the grass is withered, the tender grass died out. There is no green thing. Therefore the abundance which they have acquired and stored up, they carry off over the brook of Arabim. For the cry of distress has gone around the territory of Moab. Its wail goes as far as Eglaim, and its wailing even to Beer Elim. For the waters of Dimon are full of blood. Surely I will bring added woes upon Dimon, a lion upon the fugitives of Moab, and upon the remnant of the land.
In this week's episode, we turn our attention to Isaiah chapters 15 and 16, the sobering fall of Moab. A nation overwhelmed by grief and judgment. Through Isaiah's prophetic vision, we witness how the pride leads to the downfall and how mercy is offered, but not always embraced. Tune in as we unpack what this ancient prophecy means for us today. As always, be blessed and enjoy. All right, welcome back to another episode of a Breath of Fresh Air podcast here with your hosts,
Nakhaz Gay
and Earl Roberts. Appreciate everyone for tuning in with us yet another week. Hopefully everyone there had a great week. Definitely hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share the podcast with a friend or family member. You know, if you enjoyed, definitely use it to further Bible conversations of your own. How's your week been?
My week was pretty cool, man. I wish it was a little more productive, but by the grace of God, I am right. I mean, by the time this ends, I would be done with my second semester of grad school.
Time is flying.
Real talk. So yeah, I mean, but at the time that we're recording, I have 2 more weeks. So I have 2 final projects to go. One of them should be pretty smooth. The other one gonna require a lot of work. So time for me to buckle down in these last couple of weeks. But other than that, man, my week was good. We 6 months pregnant this week. So yeah, my wife is 6 months pregnant.
My boy says it's a collaborative effort, buddy.
I had a joke about that the other day, bro. The dude was like, it's like is a guy. He's a rich dude comedian. He's like, yeah, my wife always saying how we make a lot of money. He's like, nah, I make a lot of money. He's like, you sound like the people who say we're pregnant, but I'm not doing any of the work. You know what I mean? Like he tried to say like you actually feel the contractions. You have to experience labor. I really want emotional support, and that's what that reminded me of. But yeah, I mean, well, however you put it, 6 months down, about 3 more to go until we welcome a little one into the world.
Amen, amen. Feels
Yeah.
like a minute since we actually like recorded. I mean, it's been like what 2 weeks, but it's like, oh, we ain't recording a minute.
Yep. I say do feel longer than that though.
It really does, bro. I was like, I even started prepping for the wrong chapter and all today. I was
Yeah,
like, hold on, we already talk about this. What am I doing?
that happened to me too. I read Isaiah 14 and when it
Me
started,
too, bro.
yeah, when it started, I was like, not even when it started. When it started, I was good.
We're hit
But
the Lucifer part, right?
when it get to the Lucifer part, I was like, no, 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 we definitely spoke about this.
I see how we do this.
We definitely did this already.
We do this.
Yeah.
Oh
Cause
boy.
cause I was just busy reading New Testament so much during Passover time. You know what I mean? Like I just really was going over the death of Jesus and, those texts and stuff like that. So I had to find my bearings when we got back to Isaiah.
Yeah, man. I mean, shoot, a lot's happened even in real time. I mean, by the time this happened, there might even already be a new pope. But the pope funeral technically tomorrow for us in real time,
Mhm.
technically in a couple hours from the time we actually recording. Like, man, a lot's happening. A lot's happening.
That's true, bro.
It's happening
A lot is happening. It's crazy because a lot has been happening for like the past 5 years, bro. Like
from COVID.
from COVID time, bro. It's like the news cycle we get now is so rapid. It's so rapid, bro. Like nothing lasts anymore, bro. Like,
We in the age of TikTok, bro. That's just what I call in this time, bro. Because like everything just fast paced now.
hmm
Fast paced, the attention span ain't as long.
what that's
Just
up, Blake?
rapid cycle, bro.
Yeah, bro. It's crazy.
Right. So we want to get into Psalms.
Why not?
Oh, this is a short one. Psalms 15. All right, Psalms 15. Lord, who may dwell in your sacred tent? Who may live on your holy mountain? The one whose talk is blameless, who does what is righteous, who speaks the truth from his heart, whose tongue utters no slander, who does no wrong to his neighbor, and casts no slur on others, who despises a vile person, but who honors those who fear the Lord. He who keeps an oath even when it hurts and does not change their mind, who lends money to the poor without interest, who does not accept a bribe against the innocent. Whoever does these things will never be shaken.
Well, that's some good words to live by, though.
Nice and quick too. Amen, David.
Amen. That's a
My
quick
boy
one.
ain't my boy ain't complaining about the enemies this week.
No, but it make me wonder if he's talking about the heavenly tabernacle. You know, who may
Hmm.
abide in your tabernacle? Who may dwell in your holy hill?
Mhm.
You know, are you talking about the literal tab? I mean, at that time they was doing temple, right? I mean, that might be synonymous, right? But yeah, I
I
know
mean,
it.
this seems like it's talking more. You would think, and I think it's probably talking more about the heaven,
Mhm. Yeah,
the
he who
final
does,
heaven.
yeah, he who does not backbite with his tongue, nor does evil to his neighbor, nor does he take up reproach against his friend, in whose eyes a vile person is despised, but he honors those who fear the Lord. He
Hmm.
who swears to his own hurt and does not change. That's one that was kind of interesting to me. Where you like, bro, you make a promise, even if this hurting you or don't benefit you, you hold firm to your oath that you made.
And I think that's a serious one and an important one. There, I mean, think about it, right? Even Jesus, that's what he had to do.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? Like when he gave his life up on the cross, that didn't benefit him any.
no,
It was a promise he kept to the very end. I said I was going to do this, and I'm going to do it. Like that's one thing I try to do my best to do. Like, well, not to like the very end part, I'll give up my life, but like if I say I'm going to do something, even if it's like annoying and I regret it, like where I already say I'm going to do this, but that was like 2 weeks ago or 5 weeks ago,
hmm
and someone like Cash and I was like, I wish I didn't say that, but yeah, I said this. Let me just keep my word and do it and do what I got to do. Like to me, those things are important. It's like the whole street rule. Street rule. The only thing you got is your word.
yeah, that's true. And you don't break them for nothing.
Okay, mob boss.
But yeah, bro, overall, I like the sound, nice and quick. You know what I mean? One thing I do enjoy about Psalms, it feels like I get to like eavesdrop on David's prayers to God. You know, sometimes you praying and you're wondering, am I doing it right? You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like how other people pray now. We know how people pray aloud, right? And you never know if that's the same with as how they pray in the confines of their own home. And sometimes you also wonder, how did people pray during the Bible times? You know, the Psalms. The first time I read through Psalms, it was like, to me, I left feeling like, bro, yeah, this is how people spoke to God. You know, these are a collection of books of people speaking to God. You know, offering wisdom sometimes too, but also just praying to God. You know, most of David's stuff that in this book, he's Lord. It starts off Lord, like, you know what I'm saying, like he praying about his enemies, Lord. You know, do something to them, or save me from them, or how long will this? You know,
Hmm.
it kind of helps you to gauge how similar you are in your prayer and conversations with God.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I definitely agree. I think that's like the one thing why David is so beloved in the Bible, right? Because he's like one of the only people that we really get their full journey, you know? Like we know David from a boy, we know him as a king and a man, we see his ups and we see his downs, and then through like Psalms, we even get to see him open up to
Mhm.
God. It's rare that you see someone's full life journey in the Bible.
Yeah, and in doing so, we get to see his flaws, and
Hmm.
we could appreciate him, or we could hold them against him. I often wonder, like if there was a prophet today, right? And they're just having a real conversation, right? Would they listen to rap music? Or would that prophet just be like, bro, I'm literally doing only things that are extremely neutral, or they glorify God? You know what I mean? Like, let's say when I go to work, right? I crunch in the numbers. If I could be counted, God ain't on my mind. He's not, bro. You see what I'm saying? When I play basketball, my mind is strictly on basketball. When I watching basketball, you know what I'm saying? Um, there are times when you can do these things and have God on your mind, but it ain't practical to have God on your mind every waking moment, everything you do when you're at the grocery store. No, you're thinking about how to do this. When you late for a flight, you're thinking how I can get to the terminal in time. You know what I'm saying? How I could do this, how I could do that. You know,
Hmm.
I just wonder, these prophets in these times, bro. Like, were they like, did they enjoy entertainment? Because we know like the way John the Baptist is depicted, he's depicted of a man as a man of extreme temperance. You see what I'm saying? Or even someone that withheld a lot of stuff from themselves. And the reason I say this is because he lived in the wilderness, right? Which means that he didn't live a life of comfort. He dressed in a certain way. His diet was a certain way. These things, it seemed extremely disciplined, right? Not every prophet was described as that. Some prophets, we don't even know what they was like, bro. What Nathan was like. You know what I mean? Like, what type of dude he was. We know what Balaam was like. We know Balaam was a prophet of God, but Balaam also used to do witchcraft, you know? So we see a little bit of duality
Hmm.
in sometimes, but it do make me wonder. And I say that mainly because of the way Ellen White is perceived, right? Who some believe within our church, and I only could speak for her because I don't want to like kind of even address how critics feel, but within our church, some people believe she was inspired. Some people believe she was just smart. Some people, they don't want nothing to do with her within the Adventist church. And some things people use against her. Like, some people accuse her of plagiarism, right?
Hmm.
Because she quotes different books word for word, right? There was I ain't trying to make this about her, but they did the Ellen White estate. They hired a whatever the person name who is determined plagiarism or whatever. He conducted a study, found her not to be, for the time that she was in and the rules that they followed, this was not considered plagiarism, you know. But anyway, I say all that to say, bro, like I wonder if we had prophets during this time, bro, who can be looked at in a microscope, bro, the way people do look at celebrities and just everyday people on social media. What would their life be like? Would they watch TV, bro? And if they watch TV, would it only be sermons they watch? Sometimes I feel like these things are not practical, but I do know there are a lot of people that live like this. But just food for thought.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting conversation to have, right? Because one is two different time periods, two different levels of distraction, but at the same time, could the same principles of discipline and I guess piousness be replicated?
Mhm.
Like, is it easier for Enoch to walk with God in the, right after the flood times, or well, I guess before the flood, or is it easier for Enoch to walk with God today? That's a
Well,
question we can't really answer.
I think you could say yay or nay. But because it's so different, it's hard to quantify if it's easier. Like I do believe personally, the generation before us, or even three generations before us, it was easier for them to concentrate while reading because their brain was not accustomed to swiping and just looking at something for 3 seconds and then keep going and then keep going. When I'm studying, bro, it's so hard for me to concentrate because most of the time in the day, I need something playing in the background because I condition myself to be like that. In
Yeah.
college, I was not like that. I did not play anything while I'm studying. I read in. If my brain doze off, we lock back in. If I get sleepy, I fall asleep, wake up, and I lock back in reading. Now, I want I want other things happening at the same. It's because of habits, right? And culturally, like a whole generation of people can have similar habits, which can aid in distractions. But that's not to say that just because our generation now is more distracted, that it's not to say that it's harder for us to be saved or it's harder for us to be connected because we have this one distraction, but we also have technology and information at our fingertips that other generations didn't have. There were some things that were fact for like decades, which we could easily debunk now.
Yeah,
So
and I think it's the next part of this conversation too, right? Like, what is like, does following God mean you can't have fun in your life? And I don't think that's synonymous.
yeah,
Like, so I think it's like two different. Like, I feel like it's like a two-pronged question with like like two different axes that you're trying to quantify, right?
yeah,
Like one is like the distraction factor, the next one is like the fun factor without still like not like completely giving up your like devoting your life to Christ. I think you can still have fun while serving a life to Christ. I don't mean you have to be partaking in worldly things, but you can still enjoy life. Like I'd be like the John example is someone who was like on like one end of the spectrum. You know what I'm saying? Like complete self-denial, almost like a monk type
mm,
lifestyle, right? But there's also another middle of the spectrum where you can still have that zeal for God and but still be normal in a
yeah,
sense. You might not get taken up to heaven in a chariot of flames, but there was only one person that ever did that. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? In the history of mankind, there was only one person that did that, and there was only one other person that walked with God and was no more. So now the real question is, does that mean that those two were the most devout, or did God love those two the most? I mean, we know that Moses was in close running with that. Moses was pretty tight with God too, so much so that God had to come back from after he died.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a question that is very interesting to talk about, and it creates very good conversation between the different dynamics and what it would take and which generation had it easy or not. Because in a weird way, right? Like I even thinking about it, like, bro, if you lived like even in Jesus's time, bro, you had all of these brothels right down the street and thing, bro, people gambling and stuff in the road. Like it was just a different type of distraction than what we have today, but it's still it in a weird way, it might still be the same level of distraction. We just think down on it because it ain't as sophisticated as what we conceptually envision today. But when you have 5 different brothels down the street, you have people gambling right outside your door. You could go right down there and cast some lots. Like it's the same level of distraction, and you got to pass the synagogue on the way to do all of that. So you know what I'm saying? Like, is a different level of
It's
the
a
book.
yeah. Yeah, it's a different packaging, man. It's the same concepts, you know. I mean, like and these type of conversations, bro, I truly believe that it ain't no answer to
No,
like
it really ain't. It
yeah,
really ain't
like
because you could argue yourself in certain like, but we could make arguments all night for each side.
for against, yeah. And then I know certain people, bro, who truly like because I know you, I know what side you coming from, and I don't even know if I could trust your side, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but like I know pastors, bro, but they into whatever, but they watching horror movie, they doing all this and that. And I just like, but I know, but like I feel like it should be a limit. Like I feel like we
Well,
should limit it, you know?
and you know what's interesting, right? Like, man, like this week, well, in the last couple of weeks, right? You know, you have religious leaders in a certain light.
Mhm.
You would think some of these people don't drink
To
at
whom much is
all.
given, much is required. That's Bible.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right? I like, and again, it's probably wrong to be putting some people on the pedestal, right? But for me, I guess I hold people of that in slightly higher regard. And it's like, bro, y'all just really just normal human beings, which is true, which is like, duh, right? But you're like, oh, bro, you shouldn't be at the like, I shouldn't see you doing the same thing I doing, or
Yeah.
or vice versa. Like,
Mhm.
what? Like, what we doing? Spider-Man meme, like.
Yeah.
Exactly. But like I said, I think I say all that to say is like, man, the devil is the same devil who caused Adam and Eve to fall.
Mhm.
This man has thousands of years to refine his delivery. Each generation, he just remixes the same sins and just package them differently. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
like the level of distraction, think about it, bro. Like we was talking today about something, right? But it's like, and I made the comparison to Samson. But think about this. This guy is doing the same,
The same
pretty
play.
much the same thing as
Same play.
Samson. And Samson was thousands of years ago, bro.
Hmm.
Just package it a little differently. Probably saying the same thing as Samson, bro. You ain't gonna get me. I'm smarter than that. And now look at you. You get caught in Delilah lap, now all your hair gone.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, man. I think I honestly think it's the same level of distraction. Because even in Enoch time, we know that how things end up going after that, right? So like I think it's a very interesting conversation. And to your next thing, right? Who says there aren't prophets today? It's just that now
That's
the
facts.
different trick is, and I can't even say it's a different trick because I was going to say the different trick is, oh, we just so saturated with people calling themselves prophet, but in Jesus' time, there was a bunch of people calling themselves the Messiah.
That's true too.
Same, same thing. Two
Hmm.
thousand years later, we still having it. People, false prophets, false messiahs. Bible tell you this can happen, and even in more numbers in the end times, right? So we see the same playbook, but everyone just think we just so unique.
Hmm.
What is it? Solomon tell us ain't nothing new under the sun, but we keep on thinking it's new things.
You try to tell us. And this from a man who do everything under the sun.
Boy, he sure did. Sure did. Well, that was a very interesting discussion from like five verses.
Yeah, I ain't glad. I wanted to go more, bro, but I know we have a task at hand, bro.
All right, all right, all right. So we in chapter 15, right?
Yes, sir.
15 in your body, come on. Now the question is, do we want to go to 15 or 16? But we'll see how it
Got to, because
progresses.
this is about the same story, really. You know what I mean?
I was saying it didn't make no sense splitting it up.
I'm telling you.
All right. So yeah, let's get it. You want to give the people a recap of the other nations we just was talking about?
Yeah, so on the last episode, we spoke about a few nations, right? First, we started off talking about it was a continuation of the chapter before, and we was talking about Israel's destruction and Judah. But in Isaiah chapter 14, we started off by talking about somewhat like the remnant or the mercy of the Jews, the people of Judah. God is not going to completely destroy them. He's going to, pull back his forces and and there's going to be a remnant who he's going to look after and have mercy upon. Then we spoke about the fall of the king of Babylon, which was interesting because At the time, the Babylonians were not a threat, and this is on the heels of speaking about the Israelites as well as the Syrians who were a threat and who had already been to war. And then we had a brief intermission, while talking about Babylon. Somehow it merged from being talking about Babylon specifically to talking about Lucifer. And here we see there's a double meaning to this prophecy right now. Like we were talking specifically about Babylon and the things they did, but now we pivot to the power behind the rulers, I would say, of Babylon, and the similarities between what that power, which is the devil, wants to do, and how he, bestowed um that plot onto the Babylonian leaders and how they fulfilled it, etc. Right. So then we talk about Babylon destroyed, and lastly we talk about the Assyrians and the Philistines. So it's a bunch of people who God saying, bro, y'all can get it, y'all can get it, y'all can get it. You see what I'm saying?
Get your things.
But one thing that's interesting about all of this is that was given to Isaiah, hence why it's in the book of Isaiah. And Isaiah was the prophet. He was a prophet of Israel, or maybe of Judah, but anyway. And he gave these prophecies to his people. But it's like, God now giving him prophecies about other nations, right? But it's for a different purpose. The prophecy for Judah was to inform Judah, hey, y'all going through this now, but it's a plan here, right? And that was supposed to motivate the people of Judah. But these prophecies about their enemies was not supposed to motivate the people of their enemies, because God's saying, bro, y'all gonna get destroyed. He ain't saying, bro, there's gonna be a remnant, and we're gonna talk a little bit about that with Moab. But I say all that to say the audience for these prophecies are still Judah, and God is basically trying to tell them that your enemies are also my enemies, basically.
Yep. Facts. So now that brings us to Isaiah 15.
Mhm.
The burden against Moab. Because in the night of Ar, because in the night Ar of Moab is laid waste and destroyed. Because in the night Ker of Moab is laid waste and destroyed. He has gone up to the temple of Dibon, to the high priest to weep. Moab will wail over Nebo and over Medeba. On all their heads will be baldness, every beard cut off. In their streets will cloth themselves with sackcloth. On the tops of their houses and in their streets, everyone will wail, weeping bitterly. Heshbon and Eliah will cry out. Their voice shall be heard as far as Jahaz. Therefore, the armed soldiers of Moab will cry out. His life will be burdensome to him. My heart will cry out for Moab. His fugitives shall flee to Zoar. Like a 3-year-old heifer, for by the ascent of Luhith, they will go up with weeping. For in the way of Horonaim, they will rise up the city of destruction. For the waters of Nimrim will be desolate. For the green grass has withered away. The grass fails, there is nothing green. Therefore, the abundance they have gained and what they have laid up, they will carry away to the brook of the willows. For the cry has gone all around the borders of Moab. It's wailing to Elgleim, and it's wailing to Beer Elim. For the waters of Dimnon will be full of blood, because I will bring more upon Dimnon, lions upon him who escapes from Moab, and on the remnant of the land.
Yeah, quick and to the point, right? So one thing that is very present in this chapter is wailing, crying, weeping. Like we see that in several verses. Verse 2, to the high places to weep, right? And then verse 3, everyone will wail, weeping bitterly. You know what I'm saying? They talk about their voice shall be heard as far as Jahaz. I'm assuming it's a very far city, right? Therefore, the armed soldiers of Moab will cry out. His life will be burdensome. my heart will cry out for Moab. His fugitives shall flee Zoar, and not want more weeping. They will go up with weeping. You know what I'm saying? Like this is an emphasis God is making on the lamentation, which is the proper term to describe this, that they will that Moab will experience, very similar to the lamentation
Mm-hmm.
that Israel, Judah, I'm sorry, will experience when the Babylonians come. We have a whole book on it that we're going to discuss. Lamentation, believed to be written by Jeremiah. Just a
The
bunch of
weeping
crying out.
prophet.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Like just a bunch of crying out, but it shows the level of destruction. Um, and the reason why I mentioned that God was speaking to Isaiah for Judah, not for Moab, is because the last verse really kind of set it in stone for me. Lions upon him who escapes from Moab and on the remnant of the land. So God
Mm-hmm.
talks about the remnant of Moab, meaning that when whatever war or calamity is coming to destroy them, it won't completely destroy them. Similar to what he said to Judah, there will be a remnant. Bro, y'all gonna go through all of this stuff, all of these wars, all of this turmoil, but there will be a remnant. That's a message of hope. But what does it say is gonna happen to the remnant of the land? Lions upon him who escaped from Moab and on the remnant of the land. So basically, everyone who escaped, bro, you escaped the war, but now we got these lions or these natural predators that's
Yep.
gonna come and and destroy you as well.
God will finish his judgment.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, to me, the message is clear that, yeah, there are people. Okay, so picture it like this: you, let's imagine all of us was like literally siblings, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's our parent issuing out punishment, right? You have several siblings who do not listen to the parent whatsoever, and it seemed like everything just going okay with them. It ain't good, it ain't bad. It's just it is what it is. But now when you rebel, you getting punished straight through. You getting punished straight through. Now, we say to whom much is given, much
Mm-hmm.
is required, right? So life is not fair, and everybody will not be treated fairly or equally all the time, right? But it's like, I getting punished though. Parent, you are punishing me. What about them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here we see God showing them, bro, no, 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 no. Do not think that the wicked will go unpunished. Do not think that just because they did not have a standard of worshiping the Most High God, so because they didn't worship the Most High God, they did not disobey him because they was never worshiping him to begin with. Because they do not have that standard does not mean that they will not be culpable, or does not mean that they will not be guilty or deserving of punishment. And God is just going through the list of people for and saying basically the punishment that is due to them.
Yeah, it's so interesting, man. Because like, how did Moab, like, how did the nation of Moab even become a thing? You know what I'm saying? Like, and if you go
Mhm.
back in Genesis, these were Lot. These were the this Moab is the son of Lot and his daughter,
Mhm.
which is after Sodom and Gomorrah incident. It's interesting that Sodom and Gomorrah is brought up here again, right? But after the Sodom and Gomorrah incident, Lot's wife turned into a pillar of salt. Lot and his daughters were like in that cave, and they said, "You know what? Let's get our father drunk so we may have sex with him." And they had sex with their father, and they both got impregnated. And the first one was Moab, the father of the Moabites, and the second one was Ben Noi, the father of the Ammonites. I think
I
so.
can't remember, bro. I can't even
Anyway,
help you with this one, bro.
anyway, right? I think I remember I remember Moab and Ammon, so I think it was like something like that, right? But anyway, Moab was definitely the first one, right? Watch him be the second one. Anyway, Moab was definitely the first one, right? And so now you think about this, right? Like this was essentially Israelite's cousin, because this was the son of Abraham's nephew Lot. Lot's Abraham's son Isaac became, ended up Ishmael and then Isaac. Yeah. Well, though I getting confused now. I saying the wrong things. Anyway, Moabites was essentially like the Israelites' cousins. and they was one of their greatest enemies. But then it's also interesting too. I remember in Deuteronomy when they was going back to conquer the land, God told them, "Don't even like worry about Moab. Don't even worry about the land of Ar, because I'm gonna make the Moabites keep their land for the promise I kept to Lot," which is interesting, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
now God was keeping the promise to the Moabites, and the Moabites still was attacking the Israelites. So now God's saying, guess what? Y'all have been living wicked so long that it's time for me to actually now cast judgment upon y'all. Been letting y'all slide for too long. Y'all wicked. Now y'all even casting judgment upon y'all cousins who getting they things, so y'all ain't going to escape either. And to your point, it's so interesting because they say, bro, even the remnant that left, that after all is said and done, y'all think y'all good. No, I'm going to send the lions to finish the job. So don't think you're safe.
Mm.
And to your point, he tells the people of Israel, like, so like, don't worry. Everyone you see around you doing wickedness that you think wasn't gonna get punished, and you think I was just giving them a
A
hall
pass.
pass.
Mm-hmm.
No, you getting your things, and I'm going to cast judgment upon everyone at their appointed time. Because think about it, like how you were saying earlier, he was talking about the punishment the Babylonians going to get before they was even a big nation.
Mm-hmm. It's
So
like, so hold on, we talking about the Babylonians, but there's people here now who been, been doing,
terrorizing us.
yeah, they've been terrorizing for a while. Why we skipping over them? You know what I mean? So you were right, Ben Amai.
Ben
Was-
Amai. I said Ben
Yeah,
Amai, but I was close.
yeah, he was close. But that name, that didn't ring a
Didn't
bell
ring
at
a
all,
bell.
buddy. Didn't ring a bell at all. I'm sorry, bro. I am so sorry. But one thing that I just remembered is Moab isn't even this ain't even the first time we mentioned Moab for the pod, bro. When we were doing devotional and Psalms, we
Mhm.
mentioned Balaam. Balaam,
Exactly.
who met with Balak.
And Balak was the
Right?
king of Moab, right?
He was the king of Moab. And that's so interesting because if we remember, just to give you all a refresher, it's in Numbers chapter 22, through 24, basically. So when the Israelites, it's way back during Moses' time, when the Israelites were after they had already um spent their 40 years in the wilderness. Like it was at the end of them 40 years, they were starting to head towards the promised land. And they had strict instructions, bro. We destroying all these nations, bro. You know what I mean? And they had just destroyed who it was, Shihon and Og, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now they was headed towards Moab. And Balak was like, bro, I do not want no smoke with these people, bro. I gotta come up with a plan. This the king of Moab now, right? Now remember what Earl say. These distant relatives now at the time now, so many generations have passed that they basically only relatives by story. They ain't really grow up together. Like these ain't like cousins for real. They just sister nations or brother nations or however you want to put it, right? And so Balak, he went to Balaam, who was a prophet at the time, who was the prophet of the Most High God, but he was not an Israelite. So mysterious, bro. He worshiped the Most High God, but he was not coming from Egypt. You know what I
Mm.
mean? We do not know if he was not a descendant of Jacob. He might have been Ammonite. Who knows, bro? Like, you know what I mean? But he worshiped God Most High. He might. I think he probably came from one of Abraham's other sons, or who knows, bro? Who knows what he was, bro? And so Balak, right? He said, bro, you have a reputation, Balak. He said to Balaam, you have a reputation. Who you bless is bless, who you curse is curse, bro. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? He said, bro, let me pay you for you to curse this nation. Now, from Balaam perspective, Balaam just noticed a nation. I know I worship the Most High God. I don't really know these people. They coming from Egypt. Who knows what they about, right? They was living in the wilderness this whole time. I might have heard about the things God do for them, but I don't really know them. I can't really vouch for them. I can see what I could do. Balaam go on to God and say, God, hey, just give me the word. I want to curse these set. And God say, but them? No, bro. These my people, bro. These my sons, bro. You ain't cursing nothing, bro. And Balaam's like, all right, don't say nothing else. No, say less. He going back to Balaam. Balaam, no can do, buddy. And Balaam was like, I'm sorry. Balak was like, nah, bro, go again, man. Go again.
Run it back.
Yeah, let me send some more. Let me send some more trusted officials. Let me send some more serious people, decorated soldiers, bro. And so anyway, he keep going back. Balaam keep going back and forth to God. Because Balaam wanted that check, man. This man was a prophet, but he's also a sorcerer, bro. He's a prophet for hire, as we say on the Breath of Fresh Air podcast. Any long story lasts long. Balaam was like, all right, bro, I come in. Anyway, hey, I could just skip over the talking donkey and all that. You know what I mean? Balaam was like, I come in, man. He finally make it to go. He stand on this mountain to go curse them. Him and Balak, bro. Balak and Balaam. They standing. All right, Balaam, do your thing. Curse them. Everything Balaam say was just blessings. I can't curse them, bro.
Pure blessings.
Just pure blessings, bro. Like he just blessed them, and all two of them end up looking stupid, bro. So, but what end up being crazy about it is that in Numbers 24, we don't get no backstory, bro. We just find out that God is showing punishment to everyone. He punishing Balaam. He punishing Balak. He punishing the Israelites. What going on? Balaam cut Balak aside. He say, bro, I can't curse them, but you could get them to curse themselves. And I'm like, tell me more, Balak. Like, tell me more, man. He said, yeah, all you gotta do is get them to abandon their God and worship other gods, and watch God punish them by cursing them. And that's facts, bro. It's so crazy, bro. Balaam knew it. Why you think the Judah and the Israelites? Why you think they ain't never put that together, bro? Like, and I know they did, and they intentionally departed, all this time. But that's what happened, bro. The Moabite ladies, they end up seducing the Israelite men and getting them to worship their gods, because them said they only want little something, and they willing to do whatever it takes to get that. And all of them end up getting punished, bro. You see what I'm saying? Like, and so years later, bro, these people, I ain't gonna say they was a snare straight through, bro, but they wasn't besties, bro. You know what I mean? They wasn't helping the Israelites or the Jews. It's been tension on and off for them. And they
I got
obviously
an next
didn't
story
worship
for you.
God. Mm-hmm.
You remember Ehud, the left-handed man?
Oh, yeah. He was a Moabite?
No, Ehud was the judge. The king he
he was a
killed
judge.
was the Moabite king.
Eglon, right?
Eglon.
Eglon.
Close,
Yeah,
yeah.
you had the left-handed man. Yeah, man. And then we can't forget that Naomi was a Moabite.
Yeah.
Yeah, Naomi was a Moabite. Who was David's grandmother or great grandmother? Someone up there, man. Naomi, who ended up marrying Obed?
Obed.
Yeah, but I don't know why my brain's so fuzzy today, bro. My goodness. But
boy,
yeah, bro,
he had pre-poured nap.
that's what it is, bro. I running on fumes right now, bro. But yeah, man. So it's a rich history in the Bible.
Exactly.
With the Moabites.
And that's the point. Like you see, like these people have been going back and forth. So there's times where the Moabites have conquered Israel, and there's times where Israel is being dominant over the Moabites. But it's been like this constant back and forth. History is interwoven, and it's a bunch of family drama, if you ask me. And it was all born from the diabolical act of Lot's sons, daughters.
Daughters, yeah.
I mean, in a weird way, they was Lot's son and grandson simultaneously. Now that's a conundrum.
Bro, oh my goodness.
That's a conundrum. That's a conundrum if I ever heard one.
I didn't even know what he do, bro. Yeah.
I didn't even.
Literally unfiguratively, he didn't know what he do.
He didn't know.
He didn't know.
They need a song, Lord, did you know?
He did not know. Yeah, but anyway, so that was a prophecy that, the Moabites would be destroyed. Straight up.
All right, so now we got some more to go. Okay, so in chapter 16, send the lamb to the rule of the land, from Selah to the wilderness, to the mount of the daughter of Zion. For it shall be as a wandering bird thrown out of the nest. So shall the daughters of Moab and the fords of Arnon. Take counsel, excite judgment. Make your shadow like the night in the middle of the day. Hide the outcast. Do not betray him who escapes. Let my outcast dwell with you, O Moab. Be a shelter to them from the face of the spoiler. For the extortioner is at an end. Devastation ceases. The oppressors are consumed out of the land. In mercy, the thrones will be established, and one will sit on it in truth in the tabernacle of David, judging and seeking justice and hastening righteousness. We have heard of the pride of Moab. He is very proud of his haughtiness and his pride and his wrath, but his lies shall not be so. Therefore, Moab shall wail for Moab. Everyone shall wail. For the fountains of Ker Hasseth you shall mourn. Surely they are stricken. For the fields of Heshbon languish. And the vine of Sibmah, the lords of the nations have broken down his choice plants, which have reached to Jazer, and wandered throughout the wilderness. Her branches are stretched out. They are gone over the sea. Therefore, I will bewail the vine of Sibmah. With the weeping of Jazer, I will drench you with my tears, O Heshbon of Eliah. For battle cries are fallen over your summer fruits and your harvest. Gladness is taken away, and joy from the plentiful field. In the vineyards there will be no singing, nor will there be shouting, nor treaders will tread out wine in the presses. I have made their shouting cease. Therefore, my heart shall resound like a harp for Moab, and my inner being for Ker Heres. And it shall come to pass when it is seen that Moab is weary on the high place, that he will come out of his sanctuary to pray, but he will not prevail. This is the word which the Lord has spoken concerning Moab since that time. But now the Lord has spoken, saying, within 3 years, as the years of the hired man, the glory of Moab will be despised with all the great multitude, and the remnant will be very small and feeble.
Yep.
Don't
So
think you're
that,
gonna be strong now.
please don't. So the first one was saying it's to come, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this one was like,
It's here.
nah, yeah, yeah. We putting a date on it. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like we putting a date on it, and so like it's really like these two go on and on. They obviously they talking about the same thing, and one is saying, bro, yeah, crying and mourn. Both are talking about crying and mourning and the anguish that they're going through, but this one now telling us that yo, this happening swift. You know what I mean? Like this happening within the the next 3 years. One thing that stood out to me was verse 6. We have heard of the pride of Moab. He is very proud of his haughtiness and his pride and his wrath, but his lies shall shall not be so. Right? And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes in these prophecies they talk about um why this destruction is coming, right? And one of the main things is pride. There's something else that we see with the Babylonians, and it's probably with all of these, but I'm just thinking of a few off the top of my head, right? When they were talking about the Babylonians, right? But they were talking about Lucifer saying, "Oh, I said I would be like the Most High," right? That's pride. That's pride, 100%. When they was talking about the Assyrians, and they was talking about how the Assyrians were saying, "Oh yeah, I beat this one, and I beat their God. Whoever God you throw at me, I win it." And God, like, bro, this you like the tool praising for doing something, bro. The tool can't do that, bro. Like I was the one actually wielding the tool.
Mm-hmm.
And it to me it kind of goes to show how nobody is above punishment for being proud. You proud, but you could argue all you want. Oh, I don't believe in that. Or I'm not a Christian. I don't subscribe to these philosophies, right? But it does not change the fact that there is a God, a sovereign God, that requires humility from us, you know. And in the Bible, I think it's Proverbs chapter 16, actually, where it say pride comes before the fall. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Proverbs 16, verse 18. Another text that's, similar is Obadiah 1, 3, and 4. The pride of your heart has deceived you, though you soar like the eagle and make your nest among the stars. From there I will bring you down, declares the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Um, and I do think that's an element of the Bible and of God's nature that is true, bro. We a few episodes ago we were talking about how among things that God detests, a
Mm-hmm.
proud look is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Pride, bro. You know what I mean? Like just being arrogant and actually giving yourself glory above God. I think that's like one of the ultimate manifestations of just being proud. And we see that's something that a lot of these nations suffered from.
I want to piggyback off your thought, right? Because you said something that kind of struck a thought in my mind. You said just like Babylon and Assyria, this nation was proud. That we can see that in the Bible, and it's interesting because you think of Babylon. First of all, you think of Assyria. They're they're the big boys in this current storyline. Assyria is probably the ones who enacted God's judgment against Moab, given the timeline. It's probably Sargon or Sargon of Assyria who actually dealt with Moab en route, right? But for all intents and purposes, they have a right to be proud. They conquering nations. You think
That's
about
right.
Babylon, right?
Hmm.
Great empire. God Himself said
Beautiful.
they would be the greatest kingdom ever on earth.
Hmm.
To this day, you know what I'm saying? You think about all the kingdoms that came after them, I conquered them, but they, as sad as it say, they had a right to be proud. But think about Moab, bro. Y'all's a small little nation getting conquered by other people, but y'all still proud. And to me, that goes to show it doesn't matter how mighty you are. It's just about what is the state of your heart. How much do you exalt yourself above God? And that's all it takes. It don't matter about how great you are to the outside world. It's really about the instance of your heart. And to me, that's powerful because you don't think of Moab as any of these great nations,
Hmm.
but they was just as guilty of being proud as any of the other ones. And I think that's an important point to point out.
Yeah, bro. I have a short story, bro, and it's kind of silly, bro. But to me, this is something that I actually live by, bro. I used to be a big smack talker, bro, like in like sports and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I notice a pattern, bro.
Mm-hmm.
The more smack I talk, or the more trash I talk, the less focused I was, or like the less victorious I was, like just in general, bro. I don't know if it's because I can't multitask, you know what I mean? But it's like God used to be like, "Oh, you want to be proud? Oh, you think you hit that shorty? Okay, I can show you what happened now, right?" And I was expressing that to one of my friends, and he was like, "Bro, that's just your mind, bro. Like that's just because the dude I was talking to, he's one of the biggest trash talkers I know. He was telling me it's just my mind." And we play this thing called fantasy basketball, and it's not gambling, but basically you you draft a bunch of people who play in the NBA, and on any night, the amount of stats that they do, the amount of good things they do, it gives you points on your team.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I, your team might be playing, and people on your team might be playing, people on my team might be playing. And at the end of the night, whoever players do the best, you get, they tally up the most points. And at the end of the week, you win the matchup if you have better stats than the other person. And I played it all the time. I played it competitively, and I'm actually pretty good at it in points leagues. And this year, I told myself, bro, the last few years, bro, you was talking so much trash, bro, and you end up almost winning on three of them times, but you lost, bro. I tell myself, bro, I'm not going to talk any trash this season. I tell my boy that too. I say, bro, I'm not gonna be on in the group chat. I'm not talking no trash, bro. I ain't doing that. And not saying me to say what is right or wrong, but I know my heart and I know the pride that is getting me
Mm-hmm.
when I winning. Everybody who win, you just want to rub it in, bro. You see what I said? Like, it is what it is, right? But I actually did win. So it's like, why can't I rub it in if I'm winning? If I did beat you, why can't I throw that in your face, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I say I'm not going to talk any trash. And I studied hard before the draft, and I drafted very well. Very proud of myself, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I went under.
Proud to say?
I'm sorry.
Just
See,
playing, man.
silly me. You see how I'm using this Lord forgive me. But I'm happy for the accomplishment, right? Bro, I went undefeated 20, 20 weeks back to back, right? Regular season. In the playoffs, 3 weeks back to back. I end up winning the whole league without taking not a L, right? And what was so interesting, but that I was talking to my boy and I was like, bro, I drafted well. That's a fact, bro. That's a fact. I drafted well. So I probably is going to win a lot of games no matter what. I say, bro, but when you get to the end of the season, it is by pure luck if you make it to the championship. Why? Because a lot of players sit out. A lot of players get injured. Only one of my players get injured, and he wasn't even that significant, bro. We had people who their number one pick was getting injured. And these things you just cannot predict, bro. So it's like,
Exactly.
I had to get to a point where it's like, even in this realm, as silly as it sounds, I made a pact between me and God, and I say, bro, I ain't even go. But if I win, if I blow somebody out, I ain't even go bask in it. You see what I saying? I just can keep it moving, bro. When I was a kid, we used to watch the NBA all the time, bro. And this guy named Ray Allen, bro. What was so crazy about him, I'd never forget it. He could hit the biggest shot, bro. And this was on a nightly basis, bro. He could hit a dagger 3-point shot, bro. When the camera on him on the bench, not a smirk on his face, bro. The man face straight, bro. It almost like he turned over the ball, bro. And like, to me, there's a lesson in not getting too high and not getting too low. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes we don't have no choice in getting too low. Like, you do something bad, you get chastised at work, you whatever, you beat yourself up about it, right? You shouldn't let yourself get that low, bro. Motivate yourself, pray to God. Like, just understand that your worth is not hell. It's like, you're not defined by this thing that went by, right? But in the same way, when it go good, you can't over bask in that neither, bro. You can't just take all the glory, bro. I'm so good, I'm so smart, I accomplished this, I. Because that's when you germinating this seed of pride. You see what I'm saying? Like, as silly as it sounds, bro, with my basketball thing, bro, like, to me, I heard somebody say, I don't know if it's 100% true, but take it how you want to. How you do one thing is how you do everything. You see what I'm saying? If in the little small things that nothing, this is only for bragging rights. You so pride and you so basking in that. But how it could be when you accomplish that thing that your life accomplishment, like your biggest thing. How you could be then? You see what I'm saying? You can still bask in it and you can still gloat. But one thing we do not fully comprehend is God's involvement in everything we do, bro. Sometimes, bro, even though you study hard and you work hard and you earn these accomplishments, bro, you don't know uh, how much God enabled you to even do that, bro. Sometimes, bro, like another sport analogy, bro. Sometimes somebody said a screen. A screen is when your teammate block your opponent from getting access to you, right? And so with that little bit of space, you could drive to the rim, you could shoot an open shot, right? So you made the shot. Yeah, that's cool. But someone set a screen for that to happen for you. You know what I mean? Like, we don't really factor in a lot of the times the work that the assist, bro, the stuff that God has done to allow you to go to this good school. You see what I'm saying? To allow you to get accepted from the school, to allow you not to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, to ruin this opportunity. You know what I mean? There's so many things that God has protected us from, and his angels have done to save us that we just will never know and we can't account for, bro. So I just think, as a general measure, we should try to live a life that is humble and not really self-absorbed and not full of pride.
Oh, I agree. Definitely agree. And good examples too. I mean, so I guess the audience still want to know, like, did you actually win the fantasy this year?
I trying to tell you, bro, I gone 20-0 in the regular season by the grace of God, right? And in the playoffs, I win every game in the playoffs. Like, I didn't lose not one game.
Okay. So you see it's the bragging.
I think so, bro. And people might think that's superstitious, but I do think, though.
So you got to test the theory next year. That's what the people say. You got
to test the theory next year. You joking? You joking, bro? I'm ready to hang it up, bro.
Boys ain't going out on top, buddy.
Think about it, bro. What could be better than an undefeated season, bro? Like, I mean, you could say 2 undefeated seasons, right? But
hey, I am a proponent of going out on top, bro.
Yeah, that's how I feel, bro. I don't even know
the people saying he could have gone again.
But, bro, I do think, bro, truthfully, I do think that it's like, bro, there's a text in the Bible, and I could pull it up right in a second, but there's a text kind of saying, bro, don't rejoice when your enemy is being destroyed, type of situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that also speaks to not having pride, bro. Because, bro, you know how much self-control you have to have, bro. You know, the Bible say, vengeance is mine, says the Lord, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when God when God performs the vengeance, I can't celebrate. What you mean I can't celebrate? You know what I mean? And bro, it just helps you to understand the level of humility that God wants at all times. This ain't the text that I was looking for, right? But Obadiah 1, verse 12 through 15, it says, it says, do not gloat over your brother in the day of his misfortune. That's Obadiah 1, verse 12. You see what I'm saying? And to me, it's just like, bro, if I win, that means you lose, right? Now, if I talking trash, that means I celebrating your loss at the same time. Like it ain't even just about me celebrating my win, but it's like I gloating over you type situation, right? And now, but I ain't telling nobody how to live their life, but I just trying to talk about the psychology behind all of this, bro, and how this could be a bigger issue and how it could impact different people in a different way. Some people they just have friendly bonds, and that's just it. When we playing dominoes, bro, no matter how bad you talk to me, bro, I know you don't really mean it, bro. Like I
Mm-hmm.
understand the dynamic, bro. It's just a part of the game or whatever. But sometimes, bro, it could go deeper than that. Sometimes you could be trying to make yourself feel better by making somebody feel small, bro. And that's not okay. Like that's truthfully not okay. And then at the same time, bro, like to me, bro, it's such a slippery slope when we start to take credit for things, bro, because it really puts you in a situation where you cutting God out the equation, but when God might have been the biggest contributor in your success.
And it's interesting that you bring up Obadiah, right? Because Obadiah was talking to the nation of Edom
Hmm.
about rejoicing that Israel was getting destroyed. And he was saying, bro, y'all should not be here all keying when they are getting destroyed. So that was a really good example on different layers.
Hmm. Yeah, bro, and I find that to be true, bro. But I really want to deviate from the convo to look this text up, bro. But
Mm-hmm.
I if I remember correctly, it's a text in Psalm that kind of like or proverb that kind of talk about that and say like, don't rejoice, right? Because if you rejoice, God can stop destroying your enemy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's like that's crazy, bro.
Yeah. So overall, how you want to end this bad boy?
I mean, bro, overall, there's another oh, I got it. I'm sorry. Psalm 24, Proverbs 24, 17 and 18. Do not gloat when your enemy falls, when they stumble. Do not let your heart rejoice, or the Lord will see and disapprove and turn his wrath away from them.
Hmm.
That's crazy, bro. But yeah, at the end of the day, this is a consistent theme that we're going through right now in the book of Isaiah. And Isaiah is so like connected. Like the chapters, sometimes prophecies spill into other chapters, or we have similar prophecies back to back to back to back to back. And so this is a certain theme of prophecies that we didn't see in the first few chapters of Isaiah, but now these last, like I want to say like 4 or 5 chapters, we see specifically where God like, hey, y'all gonna get destroyed because of this. You know what I'm saying? Y'all gonna get destroyed because of that XYZ. And now we get to dial in closely to Moab and see how God views Moab and what God plans for Moab. In the book of Jeremiah, Moab's destruction is also mentioned in that book. You see what I'm saying? Like, and so you see Moab had, they get destroyed multiple times, or as prophesied by God. But at the end of the day, this was a message for the Jews, to the Jews, right, about their enemies. There's a greater plot in this book that we already started to hint on, and that's God's plan for Judah. God plans for Judah to have a remnant. God plans for Judah to thrive, and God plans for his Messiah to come through Judah. That was not only a part of the plan, but that was also some collateral so that you could understand that what I'm saying is true, right? And so now, while I'm giving you this information, I'm letting you know what I'm doing to the nations that surround them, so that the nation of Judah could not only understand how God feels about them while disciplining them. I want you to know that I love you and I discipline you, but I also know that I have your back, and I just want you to know I protect you, and I am a fair and just God.
Tonight's chapter presents a sobering picture of Moab's downfall. It emphasizes that even a powerful and proud nation will fall under God's judgment if it does not turn to humility. The contrast between human pride and divine justice is the central theme of these chapters, and it includes a brief but profound reminder that true security does not come from pride and power, but from aligning with the just and righteous reign of the promised Davidic king. But we'll talk more about that and other prophecies on the next episode of A Breath of Fresh Air. Tonight's episode included voice acting by your host, Nakhaz. Remember to go ahead and research on your own in order to get a more firm understanding of tonight's episode. And if you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. You can follow us on social media at A Breath of Fresh Air Pod on Instagram and BOFAPOD on Twitter. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you next week.